speaking of bonds and the market today, our next guest says fixed income investors should put their money, that is Art, into sovereign debt overseas. We also are here with Art Steinmetz, manager of the Oppenheimer International Bond Fund, along with Standard & Poor's Alec Young. Gentlemen, nice to have you on the program. So you're looking global in the bond market.
That's right. The opportunities abroad are growing, not shrinking. You know, the Fed's in a pickle. They have to keep cutting rates because of financial fragility in the U.S., but we're seeing inflation around the world. So other countries don't have subprime mortgage problems. So you have a situation where even countries that are close to the U.S., like Mexico, are pursuing their now a newly independent monetary policy. They're hiking rates. And the basic story, very simply, is that in countries where interest rates are higher than U.S. rates and going higher, that's bullish for the currency. So these are salad days for global bond investors.
How long can that pattern sustain itself and have strength and U.S. equity strength match it? In other words, how long can we have rising rates in overseas markets, declining rates here, and anxieties about housing, and have the U.S. stock market go up?
Well, the U.S. stock market is benefiting from this huge international exposure in the S&P 500. That's still working. That's great. The problem is on the U.S. side, and as long as the U.S. side is a soft landing, I think we're okay. The risk is if the U.S. side gets weaker, and the news like we're getting today on Citigroup is getting people thinking this may be worse. And if the U.S. part of the equation decelerates too much, the whole story kind of falls apart.
So how worried are we? Let's talk about Citigroup for a second.
Yeah.
How worried are you, Art, about the structured investment vehicles on the books at Citigroup?
Yeah, very worried. You know, there's a lot of banks that still have to take some bitter medicine. We don't know what these things are priced at until someone steps up and buys them. So that means all of this, you know, super high quality paper that they keep telling us they're putting into the super sieve has to get some mark-to-market reality in there. Even if ultimately it proves to be a good asset, it's got to be priced. And they haven't woken up and smelled the coffee on that yet.
Dylan, you're going to talk to the CEO of Ambac in a little while. Did you get any sense from him? Because this is a guy who's actually...
I can't think of anybody. I mean, there are very few people that are closer to the collateralized debt obligation market than the person who insures the bonds that are collateralized debt obligations. His job is to figure out, what do I charge for the insurance for these bonds? That if anybody should know what's in them, it's our next guest.
That interview is coming up.
You know, you wonder about that because you look at the stocks of the monoline insurers and they have been getting creamed. So the suggestion that the street is saying is that these guys don't know what they have to insure.
Clearly.
By the way, Ben Bernanke said it the other night. I mean, at the New York Economic Club, he said the issue that we're facing right now is you cannot value these securities. They're not publicly on the public markets, and we don't know what they're valued at.
At the same time, last night on Fast Money, Barton Biggs came on and said, listen, he thinks there'll be, and this is his word, a stampede up for the rest of this year. He says that the hedge funds in the past 4 years have not more underowned equities than they do right now.
I think Barton's operating assumption, though, was that we've probably seen the worst in the financial write-downs, and I think clearly from today's news that may not be the case. The hedge funds may be onto something.
Some downgrades, excuse me. There's not really any news.
I agree. It's newsworthy that the speculation is heightened that there are further bad loans on the books.
Fair enough, but Citigroup was downgraded by Morgan Stanley yesterday, and no one sneezed. They come out with some downgrades today, but are more provocative because they make a dividend cut prediction, and all of a sudden everybody goes into a tailspin.
Well, she made real specific numbers.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, the specificity, raising the issue with the dividend, kind of ties it in to the magnitude of more significant write-downs. And I think the hedge fund community may be onto something. I mean, traditionally, they're known as the smart money. The fact that they are backing away from being long the market, they may be ahead of the curve on that.
The only thing that's really supporting, I mean, the biggest thing I think that's really supporting this market here is foreign money because the dollar's so cheap, and you still see that money coming in. So that is going to act as a bit of a floor. Having said that, I mean, down 233 points, it's not unheard of given this uncertainty of what's on the books.
It's actually only been 2 weeks since we've moved this much. This is how we've traded now.
The other thing I'd say supporting the market is valuations. We're really not trading that expensive as long as earnings continue to grow. They may not grow as fast as people thought a couple of months ago, but as long as they stay positive, we think there's good valuation support in the market between the 1450, 1500 area and the S&P.
Listen, gentlemen, a pleasure. Art, thank you. Alec, thank you. Have a great afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for the conversation.
We'll see you soon.